Tonight, the German authorities have launched a huge manhunt after an attack at a shopping centre in which at least 9 people died. The situation is still developing, but we can give you an update of what we know so far. Police believe at least 3 gunmen were involved, and they are currently believed to be on the run. A state of emergency has been declared in the city of Munich, with public transport halted and highways sealed off. Authorities are urging people in Munich to stay indoors. Well, our correspondent Andrew Plant is at Munich airport tonight. We can speak to him now. Andrew, the authorities admitting, the police saying that this is still a very fluid situation and a lot of contradictions still to be unravelled.
Indeed, yeah, there aren't too many firm details at the moment. I can tell you quite a lot of confusion here at the airport because people arriving off their planes trying to get their taxis and buses into the city centre, not being allowed to go on that route in that direction because there are so many roads closed off. That shows you that Munich is a city in lockdown right now. Here's what we think we know about the manhunt that's going on. Eyewitnesses say there were 3 people with guns. There have been reports that one of those men has been killed. Police have mentioned that on Twitter. They haven't confirmed it. So there could be 2 or possibly 3 people who are currently on the run. To give you an idea of the scale of that manhunt, we know that police forces, extra troops have been drafted in from Austria, which is about 50 miles or so from here. So they're coming in to help the German police, but presumably to search that whole area. And also we understand from reports on local TV in the last 20 minutes or so that they are beefing up security on the borders. So clearly a manhunt that isn't focused just here on Munich, but potentially on a much wider area too.
Yes, quite a few lines still dropping from Reuters news agency, quoting a police spokesman in Munich saying this 9th body that they've discovered was found about a kilometre from the scene of the shooting. So they're trying to establish, how this body is connected, maybe an accomplice, if not one of the actual assailants themselves.
I think they're still trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. There was a lot of confusion at the time. In the minutes after the attack happened, at least one eyewitness, reported a gunman going into the metro. So that was evacuated very, very quickly. We know it was searched, but there haven't been any reports of any arrests happening there. That possibly was a false alarm. We just don't know. Police still identifying who's been killed here, and the number of dead has gone from 6 to 8 and now to 9. So a very fluid situation. There have been a lot of things happening here on social media, as is always the case these days. Initially, police were asking people not to share pictures of the attack on social media. They even said that could help the attackers, but there has been a very useful side to that too, because they used it as a tool to get a lot of information out to a lot of people very, very quickly, asking them not to come into the centre of Munich, to stay at home and to lock their doors. So that was a useful tool. They also managed to contact taxi drivers that way, asking them not to pick up fares, not to bring people into the centre of Munich. So it really is a city on lockdown. And one thing that's happened here is quite similar to Brussels earlier this year when the airport there was attacked, and to France last year at the Bataclan attack. People have been tweeting the hashtag Offenetür, which means open door. What they're saying is if you're stuck in the centre of Munich, you haven't got anywhere to go, it's all a bit confusing and you're a bit worried, then you can look on Twitter, find someone who's tweeting that. It means that their door is open, that you can go to their house and take shelter, and that they will give you shelter until this is over.
Andrew, thank you very much. Andrew Plant in Munich. Well, quite a few lines coming in. The German Foreign Minister, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, says that the motive for this shooting in the attack isn't yet clear. The motives for this abhorrent act have not yet been completely clarified. We still have contradictory clues, he said. There have been all sorts of tributes paid from different leaders around the world to those who've been affected by what's happened in Munich. The US Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump says on his Facebook page, "Our prayers are with those affected by the horrible attacks in Munich." Police admitting that it's unclear whether the gunmen are still in the city or have moved to outlying areas. And the police have said that there were about 100 eyewitnesses to the attack at the Olympia shopping centre, which happened at about 6 o'clock German time. And police very soon going to let people know how they can send in photos and videos of the attack. Well, our correspondent Andy Moore has been following this story for us all evening, and he's here now. I mean, clearly these photographs and videos, some of which we've seen already, Andy, excuse me, could be extremely useful to the police.
Absolutely, and the police have been talking about contradictory information, and I've been looking and more importantly listening to some of these videos we've seen. We may be able to see in a minute the video of the man on the rooftop.
We'll look at that one in a second. Yeah, this is the other video.
This is the initial video of a man outside McDonald's opening fire. If we listen to it, I think we can hear the gunshots, some 20 gunshots ringing out.
Yes, it's in the background, isn't it, as the person who's using this mobile phone to film it ran for cover. The other piece of footage that we've got, here it is.
Here it is. Now, this, I'm pretty sure, is the same gunman as we saw previously. It might be a different gunman, but he appears to be dressed in the same clothes, the same build. And again, if we can perhaps listen in, we can hear there seems to be a conversation between him and various onlookers filming.
Lord mal مسدس في ايديه. يا ich habe das gehört hier. Lord mal مسدس في ايديه اهو. ايوه يا عم فاهم اهو الواد.
Now there's some swearing in German. I apologise if anybody hears that, and we hear some gunfire later on. But at some point in that conversation between various people, somebody says in German, "I am a German." Now, some people are saying that is the gunman, that is a claim made by him. From listening to it, it's unclear who actually says that. It may be one of the onlookers, several people who are involved in conversation with him.
It's not very far away, Munich, from here, and yet it's been quite difficult to pin down exactly what's happened in the city tonight, and the police are the first to admit that.